and what should be an interesting matchup, especially with Sinners having a stand in.
Yeah, and we are already well into Pistol. HAVU starting over on the T side of things and dealing with this initial aggression beautifully as well. Zen getting an early entry onto Shock to try and open things up. And like you said, it's starting to get towards crunch time in this bracket. This is where things really start to get interesting. 2 BO1s, 1 BO3 start to decide who's going to be making it to that RMR and who's going to be sent home. And we're starting to get to the stages now, unlike yesterday in that open bracket, where we've got teams who know each other, who've met before. The likes of Sinners and HAVU have played many a time and know exactly what to expect of each other.
Yeah, for sure. HAVU, though, haven't had too many games in recent time on HLTV, so there's a little bit less maybe for Sinners to look at and prepare off of, and they are the sort of team that does like to do so. Nice shot by Forcey, even allowed to retreat back through the smoke and come back in again. How the hell does he get away with that? A fourth kill to come his way somehow, as back on the bomb site, B-Stick's like, alright then, I suppose I'll let you handle that.
Boost him up, give him a crack at the ace and everything. Zero on the backstab will steal it away, but that is a beautifully orchestrated round from Forcey. And like you said, I think a little bit fortunate to be allowed to get away with it, but quite frankly, when opportunities like those present themselves, you've got to take them, right? You've got to hit those clean headshots. You've got to get yourself into position to punish the mistakes that your opposition are making, and that's exactly what he does there. Cleans up house, gets his side off to a flying start, and gets them into a really promising position coming into the second round as well. HAVU, without that bomb plant going down, their force buy admittedly gets them utility, it gets them armor, but it's pistols that are the main firepower. Whereas there's SMGs, there's rifles available for the Sinners, although Aerial already nabbing one of those away. A P250, clean double dink into B-Stick, opens things up.
Yeah, they'll be slowed by mollies, but I think that might actually work in their favor if they slow things down at this point. We haven't seen any counter-aggression through A. Instead, just a little bit of a rotation from Forcey, and even then, that's not being fully committed. It's staying in towards the archway, so slowing things down, trying to see if they can perhaps find the reaction from Sinners. That could be a good way to play things out, and you can see they're expecting that push through apartments or down second mid or something along those lines, which unfortunately means they are going to have to spend a bit of time looking back in that direction, even if they don't want to move towards A. This is going to be perfect, though.
Big retake for Sinners, and it's not worked out at all. Zen on the Tech 9, tapping away. Gets both the kills, opens up the B site, and you can see the idea for Sinners, but they were just lacking utility. After that early contest in towards Banana went against them, they'd used most of their nades getting that control, and then conceding it as well. So they went in without a flashbang, without any kind of real util to enable them to peek those angles uncontested. And well, HAVU, you know, this is a new look team for them. A little bit of a rebuild. But they've got some seriously talented players, and if you give them opportunities like that, if you're just going to take a peek dry and they're ready for it, they will punish you. It's not going to be perhaps like it was a little earlier in this bracket where you get away with those kind of plays a little more.
Yeah, as you said, incredibly notable names, of course, across the board on HAVU's side. I think Spargo's the only player I haven't really got to cover much of. Maybe I've done one or two of his games in the past when he was on some other teams, but he's the only one I'm not incredibly familiar with, and even then he looks to be pretty formidable on the op, so once he can get that out, we'll definitely have to be looking towards him, more so on the CT side, I'd say. But for now, they've got to worry about hopefully not dropping things in return to a force buy from Sinners, because they're pretty capable themselves. They've got a scout and some pistols off a mass with pretty much full nades there on Zero to back things up, which is going to be very helpful. Other than that, though, not really getting any utility at all, just the one smoke on Shock, so we'll have to see exactly what the plan is. Bit of a run boost for the scout to see if there could be some damage maybe obtained in those early seconds down mid. Unfortunately, instead, Forcey gets tagged up a bit, and HAVU are just going to be able to go out into their pretty standard default here in the early stages. Nothing crazy.
Starting to settle into a slightly more standardized setup here. Bracket control to be taken. Making the most of those MP9s they picked up from the previous as well. Shock yet to bite, is still tucked into the cubby. And the only molly to really clear that is on X7, who's currently still lurking around the bottom of Banana, so he's not going to have to swing. Can pick the timing as he pleases, and as that molly goes away, there really isn't any util for HAVU to clear him out. So this is a nice little crossfire if HAVU do want to go towards long. Forzy grabs the early tag, baits the attention away, Shock swings and sees if he can get anything done. And, well, at the very least, it looks like HAVU want the A site rather than B. And that's a nice win for Sinners, who've gone for a little bit of a stack. 4 players in. Gives them the best possible chance of doing some serious damage here.
I was going to say it should be Forsey able to play contact on the scout initially. He actually hits a nasty follow-up shot to get the trade. Unfortunately, shot goes down. The man you mentioned could be so important in that could be. Now instead it's up to the 2 players tucked in on the bomb site. Make that just 1. Might not expect 0 considering they've already taken out 1 towards the default position. But now as he gets the first, he should at least be traded. And indeed he'll be dealt with. So the bomb, it's going to go down. There's just about enough time for it to be put in place. It was definitely cutting it close. As you can see, it doesn't seem like Forsey or Zedco want anything to do with the retake. They had fully invested into this round. It was a full force. They'll be on an eco in this next round no matter what. And with the health already not looking too great on Forsey, those weapons will be quite valuable in this next round if they can even just get 2 kills once again, just to keep some sort of substantial damage being done throughout. Traded, and indeed he'll be dealt with. So the bomb, it's going to go down. There's just about enough time for it to be put in place. It was definitely cutting it close. As you can see, it doesn't seem like Forsey or Zedco want anything to do with the retake. They had fully invested into this round. It was a full force. They'll be on an eco in this next round no matter what. And with the health already not looking too great on Forsey, those weapons will be quite valuable in this next round if they can even just get 2 kills once again, just to keep some sort of substantial damage being done throughout. Just about enough time for it to be put in place. It was definitely cutting it close. As you can see, it doesn't seem like Forsey or Zedco want anything to do with the retake. They had fully invested into this round. It was a full force. They'll be on an eco in this next round no matter what. And with the health already not looking too great on Forsey, those weapons will be quite valuable in this next round if they can even just get 2 kills once again, just to keep some sort of substantial damage being done throughout. Just about enough time for it to be put in place. It was definitely cutting it close. As you can see, it doesn't seem like Forsey or Zedco want anything to do with the retake. They had fully invested into this round. It was a full force. They'll be on an eco in this next round no matter what. And with the health already not looking too great on Forsey, those weapons will be quite valuable in this next round if they can even just get 2 kills once again, just to keep some sort of substantial damage being done throughout these early rounds.
Yeah, if they don't save here, they're not going to be getting anything. Quite frankly, a 2v3 retake of that B site with that A site, rather, blimey, with a deagle and a scout, no utility. It's not going to happen. It just isn't. So don't blame them for saving. It gives them a little bit of something to work with into the next round, as well as HAVU even making sure those guns get cycled away. Absolutely no chance for Sinners to even salvage anything in the dying moments of the round. So a nice solid one again from HAVU, dealing with that stack. I think Sinners, like I said, I would have liked to have seen Shock play contact off of Forsey there. I feel like that would have been more effective than swinging on his own. As he swings, he's vulnerable to angles that really aren't covered by anyone else. So it's an interesting call, but we'll have to see if they can shore up a couple of those small errors, those minute details, which can make the difference between these kind of teams. I mean, HAVU and Sinners both look very solid of late. We've watched a little bit of them in previous seasons of Challenger League, and they've been getting the job done. And Forsey looking to get it done again, peeking off the boost, manages to take the head off of X7, and that's exactly what you want from that scout early on. HAVU will know there's been a couple of bits and pieces saved, but nothing of any real consequence. If you can get that scout ringing out early, you can start to force some rotations, take away a couple of rifles. Makes it all the more possible for the Deagle, the P2Ks, the USPs of the world to just dink a man up, get a little bit of damage, work off that scout and see if maybe you can pull off the impossible.
Molly's going to be a massive nuisance to the little stack in towards oranges. No, they actually throw it deeper. Sorry, I believe there's a second ready to be tossed up and over. If not, they may have a little bit of trouble as they walk into this stack right now. Zen trying to lead the way. Thankfully helped out with Zedco at the very least, but the flash allows for him to just be taken down with ease. Unfortunately for the pistols, though, they're not really going to get away with anything else. There's still one creeping around that construction smoke, but with it being a scout, it's just not really the weapon you want from that position. Even with the tag being landed, it wasn't on the low health player. As the bomb will go down, Shock can maybe get a finish on 1 or 2 more of these players, but you'd expect the trade to come in. Really, his best hope is to maybe get the finish on Spargo, perhaps a headshot on Doto as well if he's really on point. But now that he's been spotted, they shouldn't even really give him that opportunity.
Maybe just try and lock them in a little close to bomb is quite possibly the only thing he really can do, but that's not going to land. Aerial with a clean headshot mops up, and again, it's bare minimum, but it's solid, right? 3 players stay up, 3 rifles, builds up a little bit of bank. The reinvestment won't be too awful onto the players who haven't got them. So HAVU with a nice 3-1 set, nice opening to this BO1 here in day 2. As Sinners, for the first time, will really be able to contest this. First time they managed to get rifles. No AWP available, unfortunately. And Spargo is going to get an AWP of his own, so that's slightly imbalanced. Although the T-side AWP, it's a brave call to bring out this early from HAVU. I'll say that. It doesn't feel massively effective a lot of the time on Inferno, so to make that financial investment here, it's a big risk to take. And well, X7 mirroring the risks with aggression up Banana. If he can catch a timing, it would have been brutal, but Zedko taking advantage of that early nade damage converts.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit surprising he didn't have at least some support there on that push, but I guess he just wanted to try and beat the nades and any attempt at the deep aggression from the CT side. It's dead now. They've given away a little bit of an opportunity because the utility here being so limited for Sinners, if they could have kept an advantage late into the round, they would have put themselves in a pretty great position. I was going to say, instead, it's allowed for this A stack, of course, to remain in place, but for the moment, it's been shifted back into a fairly standard setup. You can see Forsey again kind of doubting whether he should rotate or not, but he is eventually going to make his way back over towards B, and it doesn't really seem like that's where things are going to end up. They've got one player, sure, just still making sure they're not being flanked down Banana, but as you can see, most of the focus is around brackets for the moment. They can shift their attention back real quick. Yeah, on long.
Gaping hole in the defense towards long, and you can see Shock just starting to think about covering it, and I think that's why we saw Forsey up Speedway so quickly, trying to get any idea of if there was going to be a flank. And you can see between him and Zedko, they've had to completely turtle inside the B site as a result, and well, off the back of it, HAVU have bought themselves a big chance here. 2v4 into this B site. Nobody rotating yet, courtesy of that Moto smoke, only just making their way around. Zedko goes to the molly, and now it's all on that one rifle. Forsey to try and do it all. He's inside a dark. He swings to try and deny the plant, but that gives his life away to Aerial, and all of a sudden, this round's turned on its head. 5 on 4, make it 3 on 4 on this retake, and I don't think the CT side want anything to do with it. Like you said, Dean, lacking the utility, I don't think they really want to be giving this one a go. They've only got the one flashbang. There's no way they can get in with just that. Zero's even holding a window flash to play for exits here to see if he can enable B-Stick just to take a couple of these rifles away late, and he will get his opportunity. Shock dealing with the CT player will start to funnel them in, and it's a lovely little trap set by Sinners, as here comes the swing, and they will trade 1 for 1, but again, this should have been a round they had a massive opportunity in, right? Early 5v4, control established, and just leaving that slight gap in their defense completely unravels it.
It's got to be a little bit of a tilt there, especially as you had noted earlier on. It really seemed like they were extra cautious of that position. They leave it open then for a small while and up abused. Economy is just not really there for the force spike to come in either, so a few nades being purchased up. I can back that, especially on a map like Inferno. Those Deagles become a lot more dangerous, even the P250, if you can keep it up close late in the round. It's going to be pretty valuable. There's a bit of a gamble taken again. They're going to entrust B-Stick alone towards B. At this point, I mean, understandable, need to take a risk, of course. Hope is mostly that they're not really going to actually commit to that banana control, which they haven't done for the last couple of rounds. They obviously tried it in that previous when X7 ran up. That didn't go too well, so he's changed his approach this time around, and that works to them now, just leaving this one player on banana. Show a little bit of presence using that early utility, and it seems this time to be enough to keep X7 at bay. We're getting very slow defaults. They know they're not against a full buy, so I guess why rush into it? Especially in a best of one.
Last couple of times as well, when they've been against like half by Deagles, they've ran into stacks. Like they've ran into 3-4 players inside of a site quite frequently. So I think they're just a little cautious to try and avoid that. But at what point does the cautiousness come back to bite them? Because at this point, 50 seconds left on the clock. You've got little to no info, very limited map control to make a call here. Feels a little bit like a roll of the dice, and well, they're going to roll them the right way. Double sixes on the cards because they're starting to clear their way up B, and at the moment B-Stick is solo there. The first rotation is Zedko, and he's only a Deagle as well. The rifles have gambled onto a double short stack, and well, they're going to dodge it entirely, HAVU, and at this point, again, I think Sinners, if they don't get a couple of kills in quick succession, have to be calling that save. Doto full blind, X7 there to combine with him, And yeah, immediately, save is called. It's a 5th round on the board for HAVU. Bomb will go down. And there's no harm in them hunting either. They'll start to suspect that maybe a couple of those rifles were saved across. You look at the money on the likes of Aerial, Spargo, they've got drops in the back pocket. So if they want to go and hunt, try and take a couple rifles away from this, I wouldn't blame them.
My dog's being a bit loud. Hopefully she'll keep it down for now. Yeah, I'd say it's worthwhile. I mean, money-wise, not the greatest on a couple of the players. I was going to say, obviously, Aerial and Spargo have a lot of money. Spargo had given the up to Aerial for a moment. They've traded that back now with Aerial being rich as hell. He's the one that you would most likely send out on this hunt. But yeah, it doesn't seem like they're too interested. Let the few weapons be carried over. It's going to be a pretty decent buy now for Sinners with those 2 weapons actually being saved. Without it, the nades maybe would have been a little bit limited. Now they should have pretty much everything that they need. The problem is, HAVU have everything they need on top of a ridiculous economy because of these last couple of rounds being really clean. So it's getting a little bit out of hand for Sinners in these early stages, considering, again, it's a best of 1. They're here on the CT side of Inferno as well. And just having a look at the stats, I mean, there wasn't really anything to go off of for HAVU, of course. Their most recent games were just against local Finnish teams, 1 win, 1 loss. So it was hard to judge exactly how they were going to fare here on Inferno. But this is one of Sinner's strongest maps, up there alongside, I'd say, just behind Overpass and ahead of Mirage is probably their second best. So it's not the start really that they would have been expecting, I wouldn't imagine.
Question is, what's the response? 5-1 down. Couple more rounds and you call this a blinding T-side for HAVU. So how do you look to change the picture? And it's going to be Forzy. First time he's really had his big green, taking full advantage of it. Picks off X7 towards Logs. And that's going to funnel this T-side very rapidly into an A-site execute. They want nothing to do with that ult, but it leaves them vulnerable. The timings are rough. The spray downs are good. Shock grabbing a couple of kills with support. Spargo able to grab at least 1 back, but immediately the trade is there. And that's more like it from Sinners. Is the Forzy AWP the magic that they need? I mean, he's currently by far and away their top fragger. We saw him with the scout doing work. And almost immediately with the AWP, just the fear factor of hearing it ring out grabs Sinners the second round.
Yeah, I'm going to say it was a nice shot. It wasn't the fastest flick I've ever seen or anything. I was kind of surprised he maybe didn't get taken out by the 3 player, but either way, considering he was double zoomed, it can be hard to deal with that when you get caught off guard a little bit. We get a pause in. We have no way to 100% confirm, but going out on a limb, I'm going to presume that was a tactical, and considering it's gone so quickly now, we can assume that it was indeed. Whether it's by HAVU or Sinners, though, that's a whole other question, because I think both teams viably could have went ahead and had a little bit of a chat at that point. Obviously, Sinners, they won out the previous round, but they need to make sure they build off of that. HAVU, they lost that previous round, and they're spending most of their money to get their buy back in here, so both teams really want to try and maximize the approach to this round. As we get that deep banana smoke in, try and just make sure there's no actual control being taken for Sinners, because they are, at least in most rounds, pressuring on towards banana a small bit. A lot of utility being expended in the early stages. They're expecting a quick rush, I think, considering the molly just immediately being dropped in behind that smoke on mid.
HAVU looking to slow it down. Given how quickly they lost that first pick last round and how quickly it all unraveled, you can't blame them. They've conceded a good amount of control here, trying to flash themselves through, but Beastic goes through with an even nicer timing. Zedko flashed in, grabs himself a double kill, and once again, HAVU looked to be on the ropes very early on in proceedings. Still just under a minute left on the clock. And what do you do if you're HAVU? You've lost full banana control. Zedko's taken that. Even pushing past his own smokes now, and you've really got no idea what's going on anywhere else in the map. Zen just trying to bait for some kind of info play. Zedko does go a little bit wide and gets taken out as a result. But again, just 30 seconds left. Forzy quick on the flick to finish him. And it's going to be a 2-on-3 with Bomb going solo long here for HAVU. If Beastic takes Bomb down here, this round is done. And I don't think Doto is necessarily going to be expecting that angle. He looks for it, but the pre-aim isn't quite there. And that is job done. Aerial last alive. Just wants to die, I think, to keep his economy in check with his team, and he'll get caught on the retreat by Shock. This is much more like it from Sinners. Proactive in their control. Admittedly, catching a couple nice timings, but when you're playing in that proactive way, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it is a slightly more risky style, but when you're down pretty massively here in the early stages, you do need to take some risks to try and massively turn the tide of the game. And, well, that seems to be what we're getting from Sinners over these past couple rounds. Win this one, suddenly it is an eco for HAVU. They get a 5th round, tie things up, and have a shot at maybe even running away with a massive lead of their own on the CT side. Damn, Spargo. Screwed up. All he needs is an AK, apparently. Forsey gets his head ripped off. The molly stops them from following one up immediately to get the control, but doesn't really allow the CTs to do anything about that weapon. So an op now has been recovered for Doto. They line up, unfortunately, for Zero. And a shotgun B-sticker there as well with the crossfire, with the response coming back in from long. They stop that short push completely. It's all on aerial suddenly. Deals with the player at least in the pit, and well, that flash was perfect. Does spot the man pushing in long. B-stick nearly managed to get away with that for a second as well. Ariel taking a bit too long to get his gun back out, but the bomb will eventually go down now with only Zedco left standing. There's a kit in play, there's a smoke as well for the retake, but that's all in the timing. I thought it might have just worked out in his favour. Instead, Ariel makes it into Graveyard. He has his crosshair in the right position, and despite the dink he takes, he manages to come out on top of the battle. It's a triple kill from Ariel, a massive clutch, and a round that is going to shatter the hopes of Sinners, because sure, they may have won the last couple of rounds and built up some money, but they're going to spend it all in this one. If the 7th here immediately goes to HAVU, suddenly Sinners are broken, definitely facing an eco. And at that point, HAVU are just going to run too far away with the lead.
Big round
Jesus.
here,
Did you hear
big
that? Very loud ice cream
needed.
truck.
I'm not hearing anything, boss.
Oh, that is super loud. This mic is good at not picking things up then.
Does its job well. I mean, the buy is still pretty grim for HAVU. I'm going to say that. 2 Mac 10s and Forsey looking to be proactive with it as always. Catches a shot onto Doto's legs. Doto wants to push the issue even further, but the mollies with his low HP will force him back. And it looks like HAVU do just want to double back entirely, be their new point of aggression. All 5 just looking to deathball it. Through the smoke they go. It's a 2-for-1 again out of Zedco. And he's bought time for B-Stick to swing in. Utility to back his man up, and it leaves Spargo a 1v3 of his own to try and recreate the antics of Ariel. But the bomb is in such a precarious spot here. Just the wrong side of the half wall. So Spargo's going to try and work his way up second mid. Zero is shouldering for exactly that information. He spots him out. Surely as soon as they take top B here, Sinners must realize they've got bomb and there's no need to do anything. Forsey puts it to bed before that's even information gathered. 4th round on the board, a big one to grab as well, as you said, right on the edge of breaking their economy. And it feels like Sinners have started to get a handle on this first half now. We were worried at 5-1. It felt like it was starting to get a little out of control, but they've broken HAVU's economy again. It'll be the pistols once more for the Finns. And an opportunity for Sinners to really start stabilizing. And a 9-6 half is not the end of the world on Inferno. Even an 8-7 is recoverable. If you're going with the lead on that CT side, I'd say you're in a decent enough spot to get something done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slightly risky investment, because obviously if they don't get this, they eco, suddenly it's tied up at 6-6, and there's still a shot at Sinners coming away with 9, but if they do manage to come out on top with something here from this force buy, it would, again, just completely destroy Sinners' dreams of being able to make this a decent half. So I would say a worthwhile risk. Bit of a stack towards B as well. More risks in general just being taken, and well, I don't know if this is very necessary for Sinners considering what they have themselves and what they're up against. Maybe the right idea though. Looks like HAVU are slightly leaning in this direction. They get that mid smoke down even as well so that they can serve their A utility. But while Zedco going aggressive, the timing is a little bit awkward. The flash doesn't catch either of them, let alone the one playing anti-flash. I don't even think there was. They both just somehow didn't get blinded. Trade comes back in from Forsey at the very least, so it's only going to be the 4-on-4 for now, and with a lot of info at least obtained around Banana also for Sinners, so it seems to have made HAVU at the very least second guess what they want to do with this bomb. And well, they're sending it back towards the ramp, surprisingly. Well,
Two
one of them.
smokes, 35 seconds. You'd want Ariel there ideally with that Galil to give you a little bit of something with that smoke as well, but he's going to try and fake it. Only thing he can really do with 20 seconds left on the clock, and he's going to have to trust his teammates. They need to deal with B-Stick and Forsey quickly here. 2 players kept at least for now on this A site. But the timings are going to be everything. Ariel grabs one on the loop around, and now they charge into that B site. 10 seconds left. They want to get this bomb down quickly. Forsey's there, though, and still behind new boxes is B-Stick. They mop up the 3 kills required. And despite that opening pick over towards A, with 2 players nestled inside of that B bomb site, HAVU not clearing their corners, it was never going to end well. Ariel at the very least manages to salvage himself a 4A1S, but that disconnects his economy from the team, and with just a 2-round loss bonus in the next as well. Like you said, this starts to look really rough financially for HAVU. They're going to need a little bit of magic out of Ariel to even get him in line with his teammates' money.
Yeah, I mean, a couple kills, a bomb plant is kind of what they'd be aiming towards, I suppose, to try and ensure he can buy up with them, but I don't know what their chances are in that regard, considering he's only got the M4 to work with. They have no pistols even purchased up around it. It's Glocks across the board. Deep banana control taken away, a little bit of presence early on, even shown towards mid with that op boost, so despite what they're up against, they're more than willing to just get aggressive and, I guess, impose their confidence that they're now beginning to build up. It had been lacking in the early rounds for sure. Against these weaker weapons, as you can see, Zedko, he's going to go ahead and had the stats decently done by Ariel, actually. He gets the second kill as well. Okay, I mean, it's a little bit to be found if he can just kind of sit around, hang on, and wait and see if any more mistakes are made, if he can even get one more kill. At that point, he builds up his own money, and I was going to say manages to put a sizable amount of damage towards the economy of Sinners as well. Sadly, can't quite get that third kill for himself. And with that, we are tied up at 6-6, and he's still a small bit short on money. Oh, I mean, he could get the AK body armor, but not too sure if that's worth it here on Inferno. Maybe just an SMG, get the nades as well. No, looks like he's happy with a Galil.
Interesting call to still not take any head armor, though, to grab the nades. Especially up against these 4A1Ss, that feels lethal. To see what he looks to do with it. Early charge down banana to be contested. Zedko hung out to try by his team. Forzy and Beastick just behind him waiting. Seeing if there's any over-aggression, and at least we'll be able to trade things. The utility does good work onto Spargo as well. Fairly even opening exchange. But in 4-on-4, they know there was 2 players top B now, so if they can get this A site quickly, it will be a 4-on-2. The rotation's starting to make their way around now with Forzy, but on low HP, I'm not sure he really wants to test the waters of going through a smoke. Zen caught off guard by Zero, and that's another big kill going the way of Sinners. It buys time, it buys space, and it buys them kills. Zero comes in with the triple. The short pop just not landing whatsoever. They needed that kill in towards the apartments. They needed the apartments player still alive just to draw the crosshairs away from short. If not, the crossfire is just a little too easy. Sinners take the lead, and just going from strength to strength on their CT side, Dean, it really does feel like a completely different look since Forzy got that AWP.
Yeah, literally since the first round he got it, where he got that pick over towards Banana, and he's just been pretty much unstoppable since then. Have we seen him even lose it yet? Maybe once he's had to rebuy it at most. Either way, he's been hanging on to that thing like his life depends on it, because it does, as does his team's game. Nice little boost down mid. This time does manage to work out for him. He tried it in the previous round as well against that weaker buy, as the full B commitment is going to come in. Not loving their chances, though. There's already a player in towards the spawn. There's one in the back of the site as well. I was going to say that was covering that orange player. Unfortunately, he gets overrun. And a smoke on the right side, rather, it made it very difficult leaving just that one angle. So B-Stick also to be dealt with. A bomb plant suddenly goes down. And, well, I don't fancy Zen's chances of winning this. He's done a pretty good job at ensuring that their buy in this next round is going to be pretty much flawless. And who knows, maybe he can still get a bit more out of it. Well, he gets tagged down. That's unfortunate. The deagle shot's not quite landing, though, so he will get a little shot at getting that extra kill for himself. And then he's screwed as they come through the smoke. Nicely timed.
Need to be a bit smart about this, Sinners, as well. Yep, I think Zen prioritizing the kill on Forzy in the hope that the AWP would be too far back CT with too little time. It's a nice idea. Doesn't quite land, though. AWP will be recovered, transferred across. And like you said, it's a good result. Net gain, supposedly, for HAVU. You know, they didn't bring a lot into the round. They managed to get a handful of kills. They get a bomb plant out of it as well. But it's too late, really, in the half to be talking in those kind of terms. We don't need economy damage on Sinners. We need rounds, and we need them now. And at the very least, I suppose it's got them 5 AKs to have a crack at it. Because in the 7th round, after a 5-1 opening set from HAVU, it feels necessary, right? That T-side really has come off the rails since the AWP came out for Forzy, and you want to try and wrestle back a little bit of that momentum before you head into the second half. They need this round to end well, and it's working out the right way initially. 3 quick kills. Zedko only able to trade the 1, and that's the B site wide open for the taking. Spargo's managed to take the whole thing, grabs himself an AWP on the way through as well, but his teammates are not interested in joining him. Again, they've hung him out to dry, and what do you do now? You've lost the B site, you had it completely. and you've got no idea what's going on over towards A. Zero should have an absolute gift of a kill here, and indeed he does. Aerial gives his life away. Doto needs to find the trade and does, and he buys himself a 2v1. V-Stick this time asked to clutch with absolutely no util to work with. Between Zen and Doto, they should have enough nades to just shut this one out entirely. As he starts to work his way towards short, the molly goes in, that'll flush him forward, spotted out, burning alive, down to half HP. He has picked up a smoke, but again, as more and more utility rains in, he's on 6 HP. There's nothing he can do, and it will be the closest to differences as we head to the halftime. Sinners just about clinging on to their lead at 8-7.
Yeah, I mean, the one extra round, though, for HAVU could be a pretty big difference maker. You've got to remember, of course, Sinners with Zero stepping in as well. You'd expect their T side maybe to take a little bit of a hit in comparison to what it's normally at. So I think we may have seen their best on that CT side. Although it did take a long time for us to get it, for them to actually warm up into the game. So in fairness, if they can roll with that momentum, it may not matter too much. It's not like it's a massively CT sided map anymore like it used to be. One thing worth noting as well, I realised towards the end of that half that X7 was having a very rough game. I think he was like 2-13. Not normally one of the players you expect to be down towards the bottom of the scoreboard.
The fact he's down there and HAVU have still managed to nab 7 two-sided rounds is actually quite impressive.
Mostly against the early weaker boys though, so I am a little bit worried moving into the second half whether they can get some consistent gun rounds for themselves.
It's going to be the classic, isn't it? If they win both pistols, get 8 rounds out of that alone, then you leave yourselves with so much breathing room. If they can take this second pistol, find a clean conversion, then, you know, you're looking at 10-8, 11-8 potentially before the real buys start to come out, and that's when it gets really rough. Gives a platform. If they lose it, on the other hand, and Sinners can take a nice streak to open things up, well, suddenly the scales tip significantly in Sinner's favour, but we'll have to wait and see because Zedko is taking his time readying up, and there we go. We are just about ready to get back into the action. Of course, this is not the be-all and end-all by any means. There's another best of one after this, a BO3 to follow, so do stick with us through those. We'll be jumping around seeing a few of the teams, but first we've got to see who's going to make it there, and Sinners looking to start with a bang here on the T side. One smoke, one flashbang screams a fast B play to me. And well, 2 sets of dualies might be the perfect counter for HAVU.
It does tend to be. Are they going to have both of them over towards B? Yeah, looks like it. No, sorry, only one of them, but they do have 3 players. I just instantly presumed before even matching up the numbers. Instead, it's going to be the USP, of course, to take the initial peek for Aerial. He's going to be immediately backing out. He decides he doesn't want to stick around and keep on taking those fights. Instead, baiting him into the angle of X7. Who's looking to try and make up for, as we said, was what was a pretty rough first half. We know he's more than capable of doing so. Here we go. Spargo's going to get a chance on his dualies. It was the one lurker as well over in the apartment, so there's no chance even of a trade to come back. Sinners now just left in a 3-on-5. They tried to probe at both sides of the map, basically, and have been punished. And now left with a decision to make about where they want to try and just desperately throw themselves, basically.
I suppose if it works out well, it looks genius. You get one pick on either side of the map. HAVU have no idea where to look. It's when it goes badly, and you leave yourselves a little bit stuck here. Aerial will take the early contact in towards Dark, baits them into the cross. X7 grabs himself yet another kill, and well, he's just tapping heads as they fly on by. Clean as you like for HAVU. And I think that's an early warning sign as well for Sinners. That was no problem at all for HAVU. Clean one taps, taking heads off players like it's no trouble. And without a bomb plant, again, Sinners' decision to make. And on Inferno, it feels like a worse decision as well. Because if you don't buy in this one, you're only getting 1900. You don't really want to sacrifice head armor up against the CT side. So you're looking at AK, full armor, 1 nade at best. And you need so much utility to contest Inferno. So it's a big call to be made, and they are going to go for the full eco, expecting to buy into the next one, farming their way out of bracket. Forzy able to grab at least the 1, but that will be it. And this is where we start to see what they've really got going. They have actually got a little more money than I thought they did, so they will be able to get some utility behind these AKs. My math, which you should never do on broadcast, is a little way off. So
wasn't your math, you just forgot the initial boosted loss bonus. That's where you went wrong.
Ah, that would be it.
Yeah.
I'm still in, what, 2019 before they
I don't
added
even
that?
remember the old economy at this point. It's a good memory that's fading away, you know? Nah, it's probably for the best. The old economy, it was a bit ridiculous. Things would get mental at times. That nade leave but do some good damage. No, apparently not. There actually was a player down banana. Didn't quite land on him. Either way, doesn't really seem like they're going to follow up with that banana aggression either way to take control. Instead, a little bit of presence just being shown. They don't even bother using too many of their nades. So Sinners should be allowed to take that control if they want to. Kind of surprised they're not doing so. Considering they're so limited on utility as well, being given that control basically for free, I think they're feeling, yeah, that's maybe a little bit too easy for us.
I don't like this. There's a timing here. They want to retake B, and it's drawn the rotations away right as they load the apps pop for Sinners. Aerial is going to be hung out to dry here. He's got it all to do. In towards that pit. He hears the util. He knows what's coming. He needs to find some kills and quickly grabs the first. Buys a little bit of time for those rotations. They start to swarm in, but he's got to get more than that. And he grabs a second in and around his smoke in the pit. He's done his job brilliantly. Zen then chimes in with one more. And as much as Zero grabs one kill, if Aerial can stay alive any longer, it'd be ridiculous. Finally, he goes down, but he dinks up Forzy for his trouble. And he's bought so much time for these rotations. Spargo can react to take down Bomb once more. Zero is left, a 1v3. He's inside a grave, that bomb in a very awkward spot on hay bales, and he's being flanked out all the while by X7. Just going to be a question of which of these timings he's managed to read here. HAVU, for a split second, looked like they were in a lot of trouble, but Aerial has done an immense job in the pit of bailing them out there. Cannot emphasize enough how important those kills are. Just to buy time and buy space. And with 8 seconds left, they spot the transfer of Bomb and HAVU. 3 rifles up. It's a beautiful place for them to be on the CT side.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that they had Aerial left all alone over on the I bomb side, things looked like they were going to go really bad. But I could see the idea. As I was saying, it seemed like they kind of showed the initial presence on banana. It fell back with only a small bit of utility presence being shown, kind of trying to bait them in. And as I was saying that, of course, they heavily committed the rotate. And somehow they get away with, of course, managing to make their way back and still snatch that round away from Sinners. If they moved a bit quicker, if they traded a slight bit more effectively, things could have turned out much, much better for them. Instead, now they're just back on pistols. They're left with Kevlar at the very least. But they're not moving very much, are they? They're chilling back on the ramp, maybe expecting some aggression, which is a bit surprising considering what we've got from HAVU over these few rounds so far. They've yet to even try and take proper control of banana. They just sit back and hammer it with nades, basically.
Yeah, throwing the retake utility without actually retaking it. That molly will burn just the other side of that smoke, so it's not too bad. Pop flash to take the control now, though, and here comes Sinners. Rifles out. A lot of utility burnt by HAVU on that fake retake, and Doto playing with fire, playing around the back of that smoke, is punished by B-Stick. All on X7, but he's up to the task. 3 quick kills on the spray down, make it a 4th. He wants the ace. He won't quite get it, but the molly of Zen will finish the job regardless. And despite burning a good amount of util, as we said, just chucking it towards top banana, hoping to chip away, they still hold on, still keep 3 players up. And still keep Sinners under pressure. 11-8. Forzy pulling out the T-side up. And it's starting to feel already like Sinners need to come up with something. They nearly caught a timing in towards that A site. Other than that, we haven't really seen them break the site itself. What's the plan to try and get in?
Looks like they might actually find a bit of a fight on banana this time around as well. And I was going to say, perhaps not to expect it considering it has been so kind of lax around this area of the map, but no, Spargo, he's read perfectly. The second follow-up peek from Aerial as well, just as quickly shut down. Sorry, that was actually X7. Aerial was taken out on the other side of the map again, so this time things have worked out for Sinners, both on the A and B side of things. It seems like they know as long as they stick together and trade it out that they should be pretty effective in winning out this round, and, well, they've brought it over towards A. Could have maybe finished it on B. Good thing they didn't call for that. I thought maybe the damage they'd done to Doto would lure them in a little bit. And perhaps that's what Zen was thinking as well by just rotating over and hoping that it would be the B hit and they could work together on it. It also does mean when it's not, they can just at least save their weapons, which is going to be pretty useful when you look at the fact that Spargo has money. He could drop a rifle, Doto will give him the op back in return, of course, and they might still be able to get one dropped over to Aerial then as well. Well, definitely will be able to from Zen, but they might have enough left over even for the one more if they want to try and ensure that X7 is able to get all his nades also. So they should be able to work this out pretty decently.
was a very peculiar round. It felt less like Sinners did anything to force HAVU into the mistakes and more that HAVU were just making them unforced. Early peek down Banana, the flashbang not quite good enough. Spargo gets taken out. Then they start trying to trade him, just swinging him one by one wildly. Admittedly, there's some flashes, but again, the timing's not quite right. Aggression into the apartment. Second mid is punished, and quick as you like, it's a 2v5. HAVU have got no chance of converting. You almost feel they do a better job of just doing what they've been doing in previous rounds, right? Just sitting back, dumping utility into Banana, buying themselves precious seconds rather than going for this aggressive play without the timings, without the flashes to enable it. It's given Sinners a real lifeline. 11-9, just 2 rounds in it. They get past this one, full eco for HAVU, and then they can really start to stretch their legs on that T-side. Sinners. Good buy into this one as well. Good money behind them, having saved all 5 rifles in the previous. HAVU a little bit out in no man's land here. 3-man play over towards B early, but not looking to really contest Banana either. You sort of got to pick and do one or the other. Either you play 3 players there and you contest it, or you play 2 and you don't. And HAVU caught between 2 mines at the moment, but it's playing off well for Spargo. The nades this time dumped over the top, do a lot of heavy lifting. For the first time since they've really had the rifles, Sinners are going to have to be asked some questions on this T side.
Yeah, it is a bit strange, as you said, the way they're approaching that B play. Normally, if you're going to put the 3, you take the control so that you can maybe even just leave 1 deep or leave 1 around the half wall, perhaps even rotate 2 of them back then in the end over towards A, or else you maybe rotate a 3rd player onto B late in the round. But no, they're starting with the 3. They're waiting for what is perhaps a quicker approach and just hoping to shut it down. And while it works now, we'll have to see in these future rounds if it can be abused by Sinners. As Zero finds himself a pretty horrible angle, I've got to say, right there at the peak. The fact that he even got away with 1 of the kills was a bit of a miracle. And now that Zedko's taken out Doto on long, suddenly they've given themselves a massive opening. They still want to commit this to A, of course, but they are going to take their time, send 1 in through library, make sure they have the multiple angles to try and open this up from. And knowing now that Aerial's trapped in towards the pit, they should be able to cover some ground.
He's got to scream. There's no rotation anywhere near him. He's, again, completely isolated in the pit. 18 seconds left. He has got it all to do and then some. The flashbang's a little wonky, and that will open him up for the first. He's still alive and kicking in this pit, but Bomb's going to go down safe. Aerial again doing a ton of work, just staying alive inside of this pit, just buying time. Spots out the barrel as Edgo and grabs a second. Forzy now last up on the chopping block, and you'd back Aerial here. He spots out the rifle. He knows where to look. He grabs it as well. How Aerial has done that again for HAVU, I have no idea. Those rotations desperately slow, but Aerial just clings on for dear life, does exactly what he needs to do, buys the time, buys the space. And it's Sinners again, who can't quite crack that pit player. Twice he's been their undoing. Twice he's been in a situation where it seemed inevitable that he should die, and he's come out with multiple kills instead. Sinners, it feels like, just go B. Just go B, boys.
It's understandable, though. I mean, Aerial's alone in the pit. They have him trapped. Most players, and including myself and you and most people watching, probably would have got a little bit uneasy after a few seconds. Tried to find out where those 3 players were pushing him down from, with maybe a shoulder peek even. At that point, he would have risked his life, perhaps went down. Instead, he just plays this so relaxed, so patiently. And now even kicks things off coming into this next round with a little bit of a wall bang, because why the hell not? Why would you need to see your opponent? Shock's jump up giving him away instead. Good ears. That jump was a little bit risky. I was afraid the molly was going to land and burn the 2 of them. But instead, they'll get their banana control. They've got tons of time on the clock as well to try and work with. But HAVU having the advantage are more than happy to just sit back and wait it out and see what exactly Sinners have in mind. As their T side so far really has been a struggle. We said it could be a little bit harder than the CT. Obviously having a fill-in, having Zero stepping in. This is where their practice perhaps will be a bit more damaged by the fact that they don't have their normal 5.
Are you sure this isn't their normal 5?
I believe so. It says on thing that Tom Jeek or something was their 5th. And Zero's only played like 2 games. I didn't see any news, so unless they only added him.
I think they signed him recently.
Really? Okay.
We'll work it out after the game. Now we'll focus on this A hit with 3 players in. Missed shot from Spargo starts to make this awkward. Aerial this time top of the balcony, can't do a thing. Doto trying to buy a little bit of time at least, but Spargo is desperately isolated inside of that site. Trying to switch to the pistol, but Zedko will wall bang him down and buy his team a 3-on-3. Finally, they've got this A site cracked, or have they? Zen with a quick pick onto Zero. Starts to make this viable. Zedko tagged up by the nade, tagged up by the spray, taken down by it, in fact. As B-Stick last alive, they know exactly where he is. This A side continues to haunt Sinners. 13th on the board. HAVU, their CT side, really looking solid here. Like I said, the only time we've really seen light from Sinners was when HAVU made mistakes. It was when HAVU were over-aggressive. They gave them the peaks and Sinners took them. As we'd said previously, you know, you can't be making mistakes against this caliber team. They will just punish you. They fixed that mistake up. They found themselves a solid spot. They found Ariel, who apparently is the Wizard of Pit. And they've started to really lock this one down. 13-9, 3 rounds away. This is starting to get last chance saloony for Sinners. And this buy is pretty much their second to last crack at it if they can't start turning the tide now.
Just to confirm, by the way, since this game started, they did actually update the HLTV roster. This is his first map on HLTV, so obviously he had his games yesterday and stuff with them. Nice shot by Forsey. Spargo getting maybe a bit overconfident with how these past few rounds have been going. And that's the sort of opening that Sinners need in order to start getting themselves back into this one now. They're going to have to crack through a couple of rounds to actually break that economy down. Surprisingly so, only because, well, a couple of the rounds have been pretty close. It's come down to those hero plays, of course, from the likes of Ariel. So the money really hasn't been given a chance to flourish for HAVU, as they're forced to take a bit of a gamble here and rotate Doto back over towards A, leaving X7 alone around B without any sort of deep control, without any sort of info about what's coming his way. You've already got one at the half wall, so if he goes down, those rotations are going to take a long time to come in. So it really is a massive gamble that's been taken.
They've got the utility as well. Forzie's going to flash 2 around this corner. There's absolutely nothing X7 can do, and this is a save. Already HAVU with 3 on that A side. They won't be bothered about contesting B. Wouldn't be surprised to see Sinners hunt this a little bit as well, despite their economy not being great. Taking away the rifles would be a massive win. Take their time with it though. Make sure you get that bomb down on the B site. Don't let anyone sneak in and do anything too ridiculous. And again, it's not necessarily convincing for Sinners, right? It's an early pick down mid from Spargo that's punished. And from there, everything starts to go a little awry. If they can fix that mistake up, find themselves again, that consistency. Still feels like HAVU are in a very solid spot. 3-round lead, saving up 3 rifles should give them a pretty solid buy. I mean, they're on absolutely no loss bonus, but Zen can drop across a rifle, maybe an SMG out of Ariel to make this buy viable. Problem is, again, they've left all 5 players up for Sinners, and that battle of the economy, despite the few rounds that Sinners have got, it does feel like that T side have just always got a slight economic advantage over HAVU.
I mean, it's the nature of the slightly easier buys, the ability to get bombs down. I mean, it's not like they've been doing it all that consistently, but yeah, just the 1 round win already puts them on par. All of the remaining money, even with 3 weapons being saved, has to be spent for HAVU. So yeah, it's just broken down so quickly despite such a successful start here on their CT side. They could very quickly start losing out again. And if this one is lost, what? Sinners go up towards 12 before the guns come out. 1 more gun round suddenly ties it up, and then if they win that next one, they're heading on towards the finish line. So you can still see their path forward, but it does need to be damn near flawless on this T side for them if they want to keep it up. Let's see if they can make that happen. That previous round, of course, a little bit of over-aggression maybe with that early peek down mid from the op. This time around, they couldn't be further from doing that. They're only now really making their way out of library and stuff. There was a very weird setup in the early stages, and it means they're ready for this long push that's coming around. A brilliantly timed Molly manages to burn 1 down. The op going to be able to rattle off some shots as they're gifted control of the bomb. Thankfully able to avoid the short push right there. Ariel will make his way around on towards long, and yeah, he lets Spargo go ahead and just handle that final player coming up short. Shock already tagged up as well, so there's not really much that he's going to be able to do about this. It's HAVU just immediately striking back.
I feel like somebody on that CT side has got to work out that if they play passively, they're winning rounds, right? Every time they've gone aggressive with it, every time they've peaked early, they've been punished and lost. That time, you said they were barely out of library. They were as passive could be, and they've just mowed it. HAVU just need to work that out, and I feel like they're very much in winning territory. Another big round goes their way. Another full investment comes in from Sinners. who are starting to really run out of opportunities down on that T side to get this one done. Warp in the hands of Spargo once more. Thinks about a little bit of a look down mid. Trusts his HE to do the work instead and just chips away at Shock. B-Stick takes one to the chin as well, and that's kind of what you want to see here from the CT side, getting them to within that one-shot headshot range as Aerial deals with some very aggressive play from Forzy into those apartments, isolated on that AWP through a molly. Starts to feel a little desperate. He has been the bringer of all things good for Sinners, honestly, in this series so far. And it feels like maybe just trying to push his luck a little bit too far here as he's given an early 5v4 to HAVU. It's one they shouldn't have any real trouble converting, although Spargo again goes aggressive, too much so, punished by Zero, and suddenly wraps in towards both sites, a distinct possibility.
Yeah, and just the fact that it is possible means that immediately HAVU have pretty much frozen in place, wondering exactly what's coming their way. And for the moment, Sinners haven't even actually fully made that commitment. The bomb's obviously back down on a ramp, so you'd think maybe it's going towards B, but it really could have been either way. But it seems indeed it is going to be eventually brought up. Banana, two players waiting for them, one in towards construction. They still have a good bit of utility over towards this B side of the map as well. Now beginning to actually toss it out though, and well, yeah, with that they've decided to again kind of reassess the situation. They'll leave one to try and actually keep these B players busy, but the three of them now wrapping in, they have long control. They're going to have likely the bomb coming up short so that they can open up multiple fronts to try and take this site from.
It's Aerial. It's Aerial again. Zen gets a freebie.
Look at the time.
Out along, and oh, that bomb. 10 seconds left, only just making its way up. Yes, B-Stick wins a fight on B, but they've still got to get bomb into sight itself, and Zen is there to trade. That's it. Time will do it. Nothing X7 has to do to win it out, and again, Sinners, as soon as they lose that opening pick, it just feels like they've got ideas, but they don't know where they want to go with it, right? They've got long control there fully. They've got two players kept inside the A site. They go B, one Molotov wards them away. They back away from that situation. They go back to A. Now they're running out of utility, and they've got a mini pit crossfire to clear with 10 seconds left on the clock. It's just a little rushed and a little awkward from Sinners, and it's consistently becoming their undoing now. 15-10 down, 5 map points for HAVU to get this one done and dusted. Wouldn't blame them from trying a little bit of aggression here, but they're learning from their mistakes, playing relatively passive into these opening moments. Just the utility to control Banana. Zen now starting to think about a push on down. And Sinners, for the time being, stuck within the realms of Spawn. Zen gets one. Forzy very fortunate to trade that through the smoke. And it buys the T side a 4-on-4 to work with.
Nice little double peek as well in towards the apartments in response. Yeah, I mean, you'd be a little bit angry maybe about the fact that they weren't able to hang on to their advantage because of Forzy just swatting them down through the smoke. So, yeah, the immediate response in apartments was necessary. Good pick off, and you know, on the 4-on-3, despite it being definitely favoured for HAVU, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a comfortable position, especially with X7 alone over on B. Has a molly, thankfully, so he will be able to delay a couple of seconds if he can get that in timing-wise, although I don't think he's been able to even get it in his hands. No, already pushed back. Forzy, though, waits for the mid-aggression after they put that pressure on B. Zedko even manages to creep through the spawn and take the kill on X7, and suddenly they have full control. There is nothing that can be done by HAVU. As you said, a save's already being called for. And while Sinners are taking their time to get the bomb down, making sure there was no one hiding on the bomb site, they will get it put in place, and that have already confirmed their 11th round. But it's going to be 4 more that they need to send this to an overtime. And so far, they've struggled to really chain much together on this T side. Unfortunately, we have no round tracker.
They've had 2 rounds by explosion, the 5th and the 8th so far. And this 5th and the 8th of the second half, that is, just to clarify. Third one coming in at the 11th. I mean, HAVU have got the benefit of having space here. They've got time. They don't have to overdo anything. Problem, as always, will be their economy. Just the 1 round loss bonus coming into this. 1900 wouldn't really inflate them enough to get a full buy into the next. So do you look to force this, try and get some pistols out, see if you can do damage? Or do you trust Spargo and Aerial and hope Aerial can come out with a 30 bomb and another miracle round? You wouldn't put it past him. Looks like it's going to be halfway in between, knowing the loss bonus into the next round. They'll half buy this one. Handful of deals and 5.7s in support of the 2 saved rifles. See if they can pull something off here. Spargo takes one towards B. Aerial, of course, trusted with the pit. It's the early utility. Nice trade by Zedco. The nade just keeps Spargo busy. That's the first rifle gone in the opening seconds. X7 at the very least able to salvage it. Could have done with that early kill. They needed something out of that rifle early. Doesn't come that way. And now Sinners with the man advantage. Control of B. And an opportunity to just straight execute, in all honesty. They've got the utility available to do it. Just barrel into that site. Give HAVU no room to breathe, and it should be simple as that. Doto's now solo, in fact, as HAVU are going to go for a little bit of a gamble here. Put both those rifles over towards A, and it's the classic, put all your rifles in one place. If they come here, great, we've got the best opportunity to win. If not, we'll just save them. It's the classic Inferno.
Yeah, reasonable with the 2 rifles in play. And with still a terrible economy to work with as well. Lost bonus-wise, what they're getting the 1900 only, so not really going to be a strong position. They'll be looking at maybe a few pistols to surround those rifles again, even if they do save them over. Although they're going to go for a very quick rotation. Aerial, damn, finds both of those lurkers up in the apartments. Doto was able to get a pretty solid trade on X7, who goes for a crazy push. Sorry, Zedco, who went for a crazy push and took out X7. As Doto now tries to just do something about slowing them down, getting into that bomb site, as the bomb will be planted in time. I was going to say whether they can hang on now and go for this retake since they have the kit on aerial is the question. And unfortunately, while they may still give this retake a go, they don't have the numbers advantage for it.
I can see them giving it a crack. They've got 2 smokes on the board. As you said, defuse kit in the hands of aerial. B-stick tagged up, not that they know it. They can lock out a couple angles here. If they can deal with Forzy, this would be very promising. But Forzy's up to the task, playing around these smokes, gets the first, and aerial now is not interested. Or Zen, rather. Aerial's in the grave. He'll back away from the situation. The damage is solid, but it's a 12th round for Sinners regardless. And I think it's one that HAVU will look back on with disappointment. Definitely a winnable scenario from them there in the 3-on-2. Instead, saving the AK, looking across at that buy now and thinking, do we really want to be sending it in this one? Spargo couldn't really get a rifle. Neither could Doto. X7 definitely struggling financially. Aerial again, trying to pull off the heroics with a really solid spray down in apps, but just not quite able to convert.
Yeah, but I mean, they've still got 1 AK, some pistols here as well. It's not too different from what they had in the previous round. Again, get a few kills, just try and keep the pressure on, and well, keep it in the mind of Sinners that once you get back onto the guns, it could be all over for them because, well, it's still a very, very close game, of course. 3 more to go if they want to take it to the overtime. We had some crazy overtimes yesterday. Perhaps we'll get a few of them today as well, as Zen kicks things off with a very nice shot. Steals them away a second rifle. No one's actually in position to stop that being taken, nor is there anyone ready to get any sort of a trade either. So they're just immediately going to try and respond by bringing this over towards A, where there's initially only 2 players waiting, but the entire team is on the way now.
Can these pistols get anything done is the question. 1 Deagle, 157. 5-7 of aerial finds 1. That buys time. Rotations come in. Zen with the spray down and levels it. 2-on-2. Still 1 inside of the site, but he can't find anything. And now it's all X7. Isolated out towards Moto. Half HP from the spam. Nade brings him down to 14 without the armor. He's just being chipped away at. Both players a bullet from death. Zedco and Forzy, but can X7 realistically do anything about this? No utility. 14 HP, everybody's a bullet. 12, 13, 14, we're counting up here. And X7 has got to clear all these angles dry. Timing is nice for him to get out along at the very least. He gets 1. Forzy next up, no HP, and through the wall he finds him. What a clutch from X7. 14 HP, he converts the 1v2, and it will be HAVU who continue on in this bracket. They dump Sinners out of the equation. And what a way to do it, Dean.
Yeah, sorry, he was just getting us up on the cameras there, but that was ridiculous. I don't even think he fully intended that. He was just like, all right, I'll pre-fire both sides. Hopefully it'll bait him into peeking the other side as the bullets are landing, you know, get a flick, take him out. But, well, it works. He just manages to pull off the headshot. I had a feeling something was going to happen only because the auto-director spiled.